Today's video is all about OORT, O-O-R-T, Cloud for Decentralized AI. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive, taking a look at some of the fundamentals, the team, the tokenomics, utility, and the overall value proposition. But more importantly, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it for our portfolio for the next leg to the upside. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. And the question is OORT an opportunity? You know, cloud for decentralized AI definitely sounds like a great value proposition. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive, looking into some of the details, trying to figure out whether this project literally has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. Guys, we got to be very picky. We got to be very critical. We got to look into the good, the bad, and the ugly to figure out all that is necessary for us to get to fundamentally bullish. And of course, guys, we are going to be doing it from a retail investor perspective. We want to make sure the team is giving us everything we need so that we can get bullish. We'll take a look at the website. We'll look at the white papers, any documentation. We'll try to get a sense of the information that is provided to ultimately, you know, figure out what kind of position we're going to be getting into here. If we're going to be buying into some tokens, if we're going to be buying some coins and getting ready for, again, some good bullish price action to the upside. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. We have, of course, the cloud for decentralized AI. So one thing, something that pops out to me, of course, the cloud. We know that this is a narrative that, you know, decentralized storage is definitely a hot narrative. It was a hot narrative. It's not a new one, but it's definitely, you know, in line with the DPIN, of course, you know, decentralized processing and decentralized infrastructure. That's very important. And of course, we need storage out there. We need storage to decentralize all our information where it's being located, right? Getting away from the traditional centralized platforms like AWS and Google and all of that. But then again, we are, you know, putting a layer of AI on top, which of course is one of the hottest narratives out there at the current moment, right? So we're waiting for the AI projects to wake up. We're waiting for a lot of good different narratives that have been on a downturn in the last little while to wake up. And AI is definitely one of them. Or it is decentralized, verifiable cloud computing platform by utilizing global resources from data centers to smartphones. It aims to enable trustworthy AI applications for humanity. And when I look at this, obviously they use a phone here as an example. When I do look at it, I look at it as a B2B solution, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I feel like the overall packaging on the website makes me feel like it looks like a B2B solution. But let's keep on going down and see what this website gives us. What else? Trusted companies, large and small. So you guys know how I am very, very critical on logos, right? You can't just start plastering logos on a website and expecting people to get bullish. But we do see some major logos out here. We just saw Dell fly by, you know, Storage J, another one that is well known. And many others. There's so many partnerships here for this project. What I'm curious is what happens if I click this, and if it's ideally it goes somewhere where we can get some more information. Now let's click it again. Let's see if I can catch that. I want to do the Dell one because Dell is a big name. We know that's a household name. Nothing happens, guys. Nothing happens at all. So that's not a good look. It would be ideal to have a clickable scenario where we can get into a blog post that explains exactly what that relationship is all about. You know, logos are not good enough. So let's put that aside for a second. And there's a lot of logos there, guys, a few of them. We have three different internal ecosystem projects or product services that they offer. OORT Data Hub, a community-driven blockchain powered by data generation platform that encourages users to contribute and pre-process data for AI applications. So providing data for synthesized data for applications, for AI applications. Then we go on to the OORT storage, a decentralized object storage service offering secure data storage and retrieval anytime, anywhere. So decentralized remote access to data. And that's a very typical, similar to what Filecoin and Arweave started off doing. Arweave is definitely branching out into other aspects, but still that was its core competency or its core value proposition earlier on in Filecoin and so on. So that's good, right? Good stuff there. And then going forward, the launch in 2024, guys, 2024 is about to end. So let's see where they go with this. They have OORT Compute, a decentralized computing service that integrates global resources to provide computing services for AI model training and fine-tuning. And this is where a lot of the DePIN is coming from. All of a sudden, we're seeing DePIN narrative pick up and use its DePIN power, let's say, to train AI models. That's the best use case at the current moment for DePIN. So whenever I do any deep dive or any research on AI projects, I start to look at its infrastructure. Where is it getting its data? Because that's super important, because if it's getting its data from a centralized protocol, then what happens is you have a layer of centralization and a layer of a choke point where essentially you would want a decentralized or a DePIN infrastructure, so it's also decentralized. So you have AI that may be governed by a decentralized token, which is ideal, and then you have AI that is relying on a decentralized platform, so to ultimately serve the AI the data it needs to be trained and provide utility, and we want everything to be decentralized. So I appreciate everything that is happening here. We're going from data to storage to computing. Perfect overall package, and of course launching in 2024. So I'm getting bullish here, of course. Let's keep on going down. We have BNB, more logos. OORT is now storage provider of the BNB Greenfield, so there's some association here to BNB, which is always a good transition to other things like listing and other concepts. And then you have Dell Technologies, the storage, the OORT storage, now available through Dell's latest global loyalty program. This is clickable. This is available for an extra read, so you can get bullish, which is great, because remember how I click these logos and I expect action. At least you have this right here. Okay, so that's right in line with what my expectations. And guess what? They go on even further. And this is, again, very bullish. This is something that I don't see very much. I see logos, I see information. I see logo, I see information. I see logo, I see information. And I'm seeing major logos. I'm seeing Seagate, one of the major or the largest producers and distributors of storage, hard drive storage, and so on, hardware. Collaborations right here, Lenovo Image, Lenovo Printer Division, partnered up, another basically providing services here. Tencent Cloud joint OORT infrastructure as a super node provider. This is good because we are talking about nodes. They have their own consensus mechanism, which is also very important to understand that it is like a proof of work infrastructure, because there is some requirement to provide to the network basically storage, and I'm assuming in the future providing computing power as the DePIN narrative gets introduced here. So this is something to expect in the near future. So a lot of good stuff here so far. Really interesting. I'm gonna say that there are other projects already kind of doing all of this, but the partnerships are very strong so far. And I'm going to add a layer here just to keep ourselves neutral, because as of now, I feel really bullish. It almost feels too good to be true. Now, that's a very tough statement to say, because when things are looking good, we just got to take it for face value. And I plan on doing that, no doubt. But it's so good to be true to see such heavyweight partnerships and many others, guys. Just keep that in mind. Let's keep on going down. We see 0 nodes covering 0 countries. That's where they're at right now. Okay, this is not a good look. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what the purpose of this. Maybe they're just saying, look, we are starting from the bottom and we're eventually going to get there. And I do appreciate that concept of future growth and speculation, but I don't know if this does them a service. I don't know if this should be here. I want to just kind of scroll away from it, because it's not a good look. 0 meaning they have 0 utility, not a good thing. 0 super nodes, 0 edge nodes, 0 backup nodes, 0 of everything. So storage nodes of Filecoin, Crust, Arweave integrated into OORT. We can see here that these are the major players, even smaller cap players, into this decentralized file storage narrative. These are the major players out there. So this is really, really good. And then you have your nodes, which we'll talk about in a second, that literally allow individuals to provide this storage space and maybe future, processing power. We're going to have those nodes that offer that, make it available to everybody as well. So we're waiting for those super nodes and, different nodes, which is good, obviously. Now let's keep on going down, because again, this is not the greatest look to see it 000 across the board. So I'm not sure if it's a glitch or whatever the case is, but it doesn't look great. Affordable storage computing bandwidth, save up to 80% by utilizing OORT's optimized infrastructure resource. So it's competing with AWS, like I mentioned, competing with Google, competing with Azure, Microsoft. Those are very centralized projects, guys. And I've covered other projects that are in the crypto space that primarily focus all of their storage, every DApp or application that they have available on their ecosystem wraps around AWS and Azure. And I've been very critical on those projects because it's highly centralized. And it starts to feel like a Web 2 application or a Web 2 architecture, which, again, if you're in the Web 3 space, you're looking from the transition from Web 2 to Web 3. Yes, there are some similarities. Yes, there's going to be some overlap during the transition. However, it's very clear to me that they are not, even taking that stepping stone approach to focus on AWS and other centralized applications or infrastructures. They are coming out with their own infrastructure as we speak, given that they have, again, already the file storage going, and they're looking for their computing, decentralized computing services. This is what we need: complete decentralization. The AWS and these guys right here, Azure and Google, these are not really what we're going with. This is not what we should be supporting in the Web3 space. So I appreciate what's going on here. I have no critiques with regard to their infrastructure other than this is bullish. Okay, so I feel like I'm too bullish right now. So I'm going to try to neutralize all of this very soon as best as I can. If I remain bullish, what can I say? Enterprise grade, okay, this is good. Trusted global leaders like Novo, Dell. We already talked about cloud, BNB chain, enjoy hyperscale. Okay, good stuff here. Durability, latency, availability. They got great performance. Okay, we can take that for granted. Trusted, reliable. Again, we can take this for granted as well. Patent and proof. Okay, so this is another one. Proof of honesty is their algorithm. And I'm just going to say one thing: their documentation is being flagged for viruses or malware on my my antivirus. So I did end up opening it up on a separate device just to make sure everything's safe. I don't plan on opening it on this device, but I do see that there's an issue there. Something to do with their document is flagging some malware, but it's not. Okay, so this is something to consider. Their white paper is a yellow paper, so it's not completely stamped in the sense that usually yellow papers are considered like transitionary into the white, where the white becomes a solid document. So this is where we're going at with right now. But I did find their working document, which is a Git book. I like the Git book so much better anyway. So we'll take a look at the Git book in a second, see what's going on there. Community driven, they have a data hub and so on. Community, and speaking of community, it is they have governance, guys. They have the DAO. So that we'll talk about that also as we go through some of the utility and things. So we scraped through the website. It gave us a lot of information to know what it is, and I obviously gave you my side notes as we went along, just to kind of help you guide you through what this project is all about. You can see they do offer a lot here. Discord, we'll talk about the team in a second. With LinkedIn, their Discord, we'll talk about that in a bit as well when we go through the some of the socials. And they got lots of going on here. Definitely some good stuff. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get into some of the depth of the project. Now, they have a great document here powered by Gitbook, which is great, guys. I think all teams should have this Gitbook. It's an easy way to navigate throughout the project and get some information. So again, I'm not gonna repeat everything because there's a lot of repetition here. You can see that what is OORT. You get the three basic utilities or the ecosystem that they got going on with three services, and you can see that we're waiting on the OORT compute. Okay, so let's continue going down. Project highlights. They got tons and tons of partnerships. And we're talking about, okay, at least 40 plus projects, companies, Dell, which we talked about already. Seagate, Lenovo, we talked about, and many others, and they're connected, well connected with many universities, given that the founder is a professor at the university level, which is obviously gives him the connectedness that we need within the academia field. Academia is big. There's a lot of opportunity in academia, and there's a lot of research funding. There's a lot of transitions that can be done to institutions and so on. So I appreciate all of that. Well, they're well connected, guys. So let's keep that in mind. Why are we building OORT? For challenge solutions. Of course, we have a challenge or a problem. We look for a software solution. That's summarize this, and that summarizes what I say frequently. Now the architecture. So we have the storage. Okay, so let's see if we can make this a bit bigger. Here we go. We got the storage. We can provide super nodes. Of course, we're trying to get to this, the edge nodes, which are nodes that you can get involved with. You can buy these nodes. You can put a node on your phone. You can put a node on your laptop, and also you have nodes that are readily available that can be reused from Filecoin and Arweave and Crust, right? So you have the typical, and then you have the average, and then you have the ones that are pretty pre-existing. Then you have their own chain. Okay, which is called the Olympus. It's a layer 1 protocol. It's interoperable with other L1s, which I find almost like too good to be true also. They don't give any limitation. It's basically, they're saying that it's interoperable across all chains. So for me, that's like, again, so amazing that I'm like, whoa, okay, so what does that mean? I can basically, so their layer 1 or layer 1, the Olympus layer 1 could basically suck liquidity off of any ecosystem. At will, because literally projects can be deployed, contracts can be deployed on Olympus without any modification or any resistance. And for me, that's really super great. I'm curious as to, what are the limitations, because there's always benefits and drawbacks, but that is really interesting, no doubt. So bullish, I guess. That's really bullish. I feel too bullish here, guys. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I'm not being neutral, but everything about it so far is really good. All right, let's continue going down. We have the AI solution. You got compute, you got storage, you got data hub. We talked about this. If you want to learn more, again, dig deeper, guys. I don't want this video to be 5 hours long. We're going to try our best to kind of get through all of what we need to. We got the proof of honesty, which is the mainnet. It's already out there. How is developed open source layer 1 blockchain. It's open source, so it's available for everybody to kind of pick at and contribute to. Connects real-world devices with the network, including public and private clouds, smartphones and computers. We talked about that. So if you even want to get into the private or decentralized and provide a node using the centralized networks, that's also available. But what it really wants to do is create a DePIN infrastructure, right? And that's what they're trying to push. And the proof of honesty, which is really, really cool, because they have a patent, which I'll show you in a second, but they have a patent for this, and it's consensus algorithm ensuring that all nodes operate honestly and optimize resources allocation in a decentralized manner. So if you're decentralized, you're going to get priority. If you're decentralized and you're honest, you're going to get priority. And if you're putting priority, you're going to be making more rewards. And for me, that's exactly where it's at as far as providing to the network and then getting rewarded. Okay, so that's the mechanism there. Learn more about the technical details. Again, the yellow paper is flagging malware, but it is not. I'm going to repeat that. It is not a malware. It's just somehow, some way, I think they need to figure out how to remove that that flag somehow, because it doesn't look good. Okay, so we got to put some effort there, or not provide it in this way and just rely on the powered by Git book, the Git book itself, and be done with it. All right, let's move on to tokenomics. Tokenomics is quite interesting. Okay, there is a bit of an issue here, just a small issue, because it's not too concerning. It's because of the overall distribution. So the distribution is healthy. Okay, the distribution is healthy because we can see that fundraising. Okay, there's fundraising, guys. I know that a lot of us want this fair launch with no fundraising, but we've seen in the past the issue with fair launches. If you wanted to launch with some steam and some strength, you need some liquidity, you need some capital. And this is what fundraising does. Okay, so you're able to get early investors in at a cheap price. They get in, they take more risk, of course, and of course they deserve more reward. But it's only 10%. So that's very healthy. It's not like it's 50% or a massive amount where you're afraid of dilution when these fundraisers, when these potential VCs go and take profit, right? So we're not really risking too much dilution here because it's only 10%. So it's not bad. Then you have the foundation, long-term partner support, academic subsidies, and public work. So basically the foundation is the DAO. They vote, they figure out how they're going to be allocating this capital over time, which is great. The team has 15% incentive for core team members. So the devs, the founder, the this, the that, everybody that is involved, guess what, guys? They need to eat. And we got to be real about that. Yeah, 15% is not bad. It could be worse. I've seen worse. It could be a little less, maybe 10%. But at least what we do see is that the miners get the majority of everything. 65% goes completely to rewards. For individuals like you and I that want to contribute to the network, to making it stable, to the node providers that are giving up our storage space or our processing power in the future when they get that upgrade for the compute and all of that, we are going to be getting those rewards. 65% allocation, which is great. But again, what my more concern is, big picture, is what is the token unlock schedule, which I was not able to find some solid information on. I went on the Discord to ask questions. Not much of a response. They didn't. People on the Discord didn't even know what an emission schedule was or an unlock schedule was. No one was able to give me any direction, to the point that they said, "Can you give me more detail on what that is?" So I felt like right then and there, based on the few days of waiting for a proper response, I felt like the Discord is underrepresented. The team needs to get involved. There has to be somebody, I'm not saying it has to be a top tier individual, but it has to be somebody that is part of the team, that has some official status, that has all the information, that is well knowledgeable about the content, that is in communications, that can ultimately answer questions for individuals. Because getting half answers and expecting the public to come in and educate and basically try to pull teeth to get information, it's not a good look. And when you start looking at the documentation provided, there's no clarity as to the emissions. Now, you're going to get a few numbers in here as far as the emissions in numerical form, fine. But what about graph or even the token unlocks? There is no unlocked schedule. I don't know when the team is going to get paid. I don't know when the foundation is going to get their allocation. Are they getting it all at once? Is it already out there? Is the fundraising? When are those individuals going to get unlocked and start selling? There is nothing here, unfortunately. Okay, so this is something that the team needs to really take into consideration, because this ambiguity does not help. However, I'm just going to state this right now. There is some information on X, and I find that to be inappropriate. I'm not going to give them, a kudos for posting tokenomics on X and call it in a day. That is not where we should be going, scraping through, blogs and social media to get this information. That information needs to be here. Okay, so we're going to hold them accountable for that. We're going to hold all projects accountable for that. We, as retail investors, want to have the information right here to make it easy for the retail investor to get bullish, and ultimately mass adoption will follow. Okay, this is what we need. Okay, so just hear me out. I'm bullish. Up until now, I was super bullish, but we got to be clear about this. So we do see that devs, of course, we have token holders. These are the type of the roles of the ecosystem. Node providers, the miner, token devs. Okay, fine. Service payment, staking, governance. This is the utility. What is the token for? Payment, staking, governance, and that's it. Okay, so that's typical, and I appreciate that. That's very clear. I don't expect anything more. If you want to know more a little bit what all of this is, it's all right here. Basically, for governance, the more tokens you own, the more you can vote, the more you can propose and vote on certain agendas, and then ultimately even the way some of those foundation tokens are basically being deployed or spent, and so on. And like that, you're providing an opportunity for the community to get involved, which is healthy. Decentralized, guys, decentralized. That's why a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. Okay, so let's move on there. Token deflation. So something more interesting. OORT Foundation will be using 30% profit to regularly buy back and burn its utility tokens to reduce the total supply, and therefore gradually and continuously increasing token value to through obviously reducing the circulating supply or the potential of the supply. And that means it's a game of supply and demand, guys. The less supply, the more, and even if demand stays equal, because the supply goes away, the price will go up. Imagine if demand goes up while the supply comes down, we're going to get a lot more aggressive growth as far as price goes. So token value will go up. So it's great to see that it's deflationary, and it seems fairly aggressive, 3% of profit. So token burning frequency every 3 months. That's pretty cool. Token burning cap. So they're going to stop burning once 40% of the total supply is burnt, which more or less 40% is quite a bit, almost half, right? So that's not bad. We're going to see that supply shock over time, every 3 months, supply shock. And if OORT keeps on providing utility and keeps on following through with this value proposition, the reality is that we're going to see a lot of demand as well. So we're going to see a lot of growth. Okay, so that's great. So just to recap, the only thing that I can say is that it would be nice to see an emission schedule and to see a token unlock schedule. But given the fact that they did not provide it, it's only a little bit. It's only 10%, 15%, 10%. But then again, they did provide it on socials. So let's might as well jump right into that, guys. We're going to jump around just a little bit. We got this right here, update on tokenomics. Feel free to read this, of course. 200 million OORT tokens, 10% of the total supply, according to tokenomics, were allocated to the founding team with a 4-year schedule, basically within the 4 years. Now again, how often within the 4 years, with a 4-year release schedule. However, now basically they extended it from 4 years to 6 years. That's good, but is it once per year? Is it going to get unlocked at the end of the 6 years, and then is it going to be linear? How's that going to work? We need more, guys. We need more. This is just like little snippets of information. Originally 1.3 billion will be basically 65% of the supply will be for rewards, which we talked about. And you can see that what they're trying to do is allocating for OORT Edge node rewards. They're trying to just reschedule over the next 5 years, 400 million. So they're just rescheduling or reshifting things around. Still very bullish with regards to tokenomics. In fact, they improved the bullishness right here because now we run less risk of dilution. I just want to know, is it how often? That it's a linear term, long-term goals, but is it linear? That's the, or is it how's the emissions or the unlock schedule? And the remaining 800 is going to be locked into a smart contract. 100 million tokens will be released in the first year with 50% reduction release amount, for example. Okay, so that's fine. Further deepen infrastructure and so on. Guys, feel free to read this. Obviously, there's a lot of information. I'm not going to read it to you, but there's some updates here with regards to the tokenomics and some of their unlock schedule. Again, guys, this needs to be official. It needs to be on their Gitbook. It needs to be a little bit more well represented so that we can get bullish. What else do we have here? 10% of the supply were initially allocated for funding team. This is we already talked about, 6 years. Okay, perfect stuff. So that's what they've posted. Again, although that's there, I still feel a little bit more, guys. We're almost there. You could do it. Just give us a little bit more detail here so we can give it a 10 out of 10 with regards to tokenomics and feeling good about it. The roadmap. Okay, perfect here. They gave us everything we need. They've been hitting milestones year by year, clicking off a lot of good benchmarks, which is good. And then all of a sudden, here we are waiting for the commercial release of a data hub. So the commercial release, and more importantly, we're looking at the compute launch, guys. This is what we've been talking about in the last little while. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen going forward. I think it's time that this needs a little bit of an update to say, okay, I know they're focusing on this right now. I get it. But any moment now, guys, just understand that we need a little bit more so we know what's happening in the times to come, because this is where the magic happens, right? The year end, beginning of 2025, a lot of us think that the market's going to be at the peaks of volume and aggression. And if that's the case, it would be nice to be bullish on some speculative, roadmaps or milestones that they plan to achieve. So 10 out of 10 right here. But again, let's just not fall back now and just get too comfortable here. Let's just keep on going. Give us a little bit more. Stay, one step ahead here. Let's get on to the next quarter. What else do we have? The products. Again, the storage hub. What happened here? Let me go back, because I think we have the storage hub, the data hub, and the compute. Guys, I'm not getting into that again. Okay, that's a very repetitious thing that we're seeing, which is good. At least it's there, and it's, opposed to it not being. So we're good. But feel free to do that on your own, and you can get lot more information with regards to other concepts here. The mainnet Olympus protocol, and and there's a lot happening here on the GitHub and a lot of stuff. Okay, so feel free to check that out. Now I'm gonna strategically get into another area here with there's some information regarding to the Edge network and the ultimately what about the nodes. And the nodes are Deimos, something like that, which is the nodes itself. They're a small device computing storage capabilities suitable for household settings. So if you remember when we were looking at the main Git book, they had, this should all be kind of amalgamated because it gets a little bit hard to bounce back and forth, or at least provide some of this information there. I know they get in a bit more detail with regards to the Edge, but some of this can be applied. And the reality, the reason why I say that is because we get the token rewards from those node holders are right here. So you can see that they get 25% of the mining rewards released immediately, and 75 will be released linearly over the 207 days linearly. So this is something to understand with regards to this. Let me just quickly show you what I mean so that we can make some connections. This right here. Okay, so it would be kind of cool to have this all in one go so that we don't have to bounce back and forth to different Git books, as you can see. But this would be the emissions for the rewards. And again, a nice graph would be really good, and to kind of see what that looks like per day or per month or things like that. Give us the info, right? We want it nice and clear. Think about you're trying to sell your tokenomics here to a person that shouldn't or doesn't need to know much about any of this. You just want to make it simple and clear so that the retail investor can feel a bit confident. Okay, so let's move on. Now what we do have is something quite cool. I'm going to try to make this as visible as possible. Let me see if I can just kind of quickly pop this out of my browser here and just kind of make this resize this for you guys. Sorry guys, just be patient with me. I think this is a cool thing. I've never really seen this on any of the deep dives that I've done in the past. They hold a patent, but basically is for the consensus algorithm, right? So if you want, this is the abstract. You can see they give a little bit of details here as to how it works, and schematics, some sort of flow charts and stuff like that. You can see a nice flow chart here, typical engineering type of schematic, and then your background and all of that. So if you're interested in knowing about their actual patent, which is the proof of honesty algorithm, I would definitely take a look. It looks pretty cool. Like, the fact that they have this is not bad. I haven't seen many L1s really come up with something like this, or at least make it readily available for their, for the people that are doing research and want to know a little bit about them. So that's pretty good. I put that on this as a side note for you guys. What else do we got here? We got a blog where they do post a lot of little updates along the way. So I appreciate this, no doubt. I just feel like a lot of the times they have these blogs, but they don't connect them to the proper outlets on the main website. Like if you're going to be talking about a partnership and you have their logo on the main website, make sure it connects to that blog post that explains what that's all about. So there's a lot of good stuff here, of course, but we shouldn't have to scrape through blogs to actually get information like this. Important information needs to be put on the white paper or on the Git book. Let's move on. We talked about some things right into here. Let's talk about the team here for a second. So if you go on the main website and you want to know about the team, they do have a LinkedIn link that you can get into the team. So let's go check that out. That will take you right here. And they have pretty much all their all their main players, right? They got, a lot, the directors, the engineers, the researchers, a lot of individuals, and you got the technical lead of OORT, founder and CEO. Pretty cool. That's the heavyweight here, of course, and there's many others that you can obviously try to connect with. Now, if you look into the founder, okay, Max Chong Lee, this dude right here is pretty much, he's the CEO and founder of OORT. That's first and foremost. He's a professor at Columbia University in the city of New York, guys. Okay, so that's good. Prior to that, he's been working with Qualcomm research on 4G LTE and 5G system design. So he has a background in industry. My only concern here is that he is pretty much he's presently full-time as a professor. And for me, that's like, okay, not a bad thing, but it's like, okay, how much time are you actually putting into OORT Tech, which is, of course, he's full-time as well. So you're full-time in two different two different businesses or two different occupations, but at the same time, that doesn't make logical sense. Being full-time means that you're part-time in both. And the question is, how do you split your time? That's my only concern. It's bullish that he's everywhere. It's bullish that he's got he's a founder of Nakamoto and Turing Labs. He's got history here. He's got education. He's well connected within the field of academia, no doubt. But my only concern is that I just got to be clear, right? So if you want more information, this is the dude right here. He seems like he knows what he's up to. He's got a lot of experience, so that's good. And there's other team members, guys. There's lots of them. Feel free to go check them out. It's a pretty stacked team. I went through a few of them to see what they're all about, and yeah, they got a lot happening. They got marketing team, they got Web3 designers, we got engineers, we got all kinds of individuals there that are ready to go to make this thing happen. So I appreciate all of that. I'm not going to get into more detail. Feel free to start digging around on their LinkedIn. You can go and see what kind of professionalism they do have, which in my opinion, they got it, no doubt. All right, guys, we did pretty good here. There's a lot of good information on the project, a lot of good transparency, a little bit of we need a little bit more on tokenomics, but you guys know that I do release a infographic for you guys. Let's take a look at that infographic just to summarize what we've been talking about here. OORT, it is a decentralized cloud platform, and it's going to be providing a lot more to that, computing power, their DePIN narrative, and their AI. Let's not forget that it is an AI project that's going to be providing AI solutions using DePIN and the cloud storage as their backend protocols to house and support the AI. That's basically what it's meant for. So let's take a look at some of these details here. Again, the internal ecosystem, you have the data hub, the storage, and we're waiting for the compute launching in 2024. I gave it 8 out of 10 because we're still waiting for the launch. We have some upward potential. We still have some area for growth. And if that's the case, we're going to see 10 out of 10 as soon as they start launching and start getting this thing coming around full circle. We will definitely give it a 10 out of 10, but we need to see that launch happen. And that gives you an opportunity to, basically get in before it gets to 10 out of 10, if you get what I'm saying. Utility. There's nothing to say other than good stuff. Service payment, of course, transactions, staking, of course, you get rewarded for staking nodes and all of that. Governance, you stake, you own tokens, you have nodes, you have voice, you have opportunity to get involved in the future of the project and where it's going, where it's allocating capital, and so on and so forth for the foundation. Good stuff there. Roadmap. 10 out of 10, clear, gives you everything you need. Well-documented, milestones met. Release in September, we have the data hub commercial release, and we have the Q4 release for OORT compute. Very clear, very concise. Everything we need to actually get bullish here. We have the team, 10 out of 10 again. World recognized organizations such as Columbia University, Qualcomm, AT&T, JP Morgan. The team is stacked. They come from various walks of life, but all geared towards economy, tech, education, as far as being part of the field of academia, which is, you guys know that's where a lot of the research begins for a lot of new technologies basically stem from the world of academia. So for me, that's a good thing. And they're all doxed on LinkedIn. No hidden faces, all doxed, ready to go. If you want to know about the team, they're there, readily available. Good stuff there. Socials. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, their followers, they got a decent amount. You can see that in the last 30 days, they've been coming down a little bit, but you can't knock it. There's still almost 2,000 followers for the last 30 days. So in the previous month, they were probably up, 3,000, if not more. Which means that, yes, they're coming down as far as how many followers they're getting, but they're still up for the month, meaning that they're still growing, right? Just not at the same rate as the previous month. They're down 55%. But it's not exclusive to them. So I'm going to put a little layer of understanding here. It's not exclusive to OORT. The crypto space in general in the last few months, the last 5-6 months, have been in a downtrend. So you're not getting much engagement. There's a lot of boringness. There's a lot of nothingness out there, and people are disconnected, and that's the reality. However, OORT is not taking that, right? OORT is saying, you know what, I'm going to release 84 posts in the last 30 days, up 2%, 2.5%, which means that despite the downtrend in followers, they're pushing back and saying, you know what, we're maintaining and we're pushing forward, and we're still going to be engaging with our community on X, which is good. Okay, but guys, I went on that Discord and it needs work. The Discord needs work, and I prefer Discord. I know some people like Telegram. I prefer Discord. I went on the Discord and there's nothing happening. There's no presence of the team. Again, that's for me is a big problem. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 because of that. There is community. I can see the activity, but I feel like it's underrepresented. We need somebody there that's going to be like a leader of the team there. It doesn't have to be a top tier individual. It just needs a communications individual, someone that's hired to handle their marketing, their communications, right? I know it's an expense. I get it, but that's what's going to make it super bullish, right? If you can get good representation. Tokenomics. They have a burning mechanism, 30% of profits every 3 months, max 40% of the supply will be burnt. Mining rewards, it's 65% will go towards miners. And of course, the amounts are, distribution is very provided on a post on X. So we can kind of take a look at that. Fundraising, 10%, foundation, 10%, and the team is 15%. And it's not much that the early stakeholders get. We can't even include foundation on that because the reality is the foundation is governed by the DAO, so at least that's decentralized. But the team and the fundraising, these are early stakeholders. They equate to about 25% of the token allocation, and we have no idea on how these tokens are going to be unlocked. If they're going to be linear, I know the team is going to get it over 6 years or so or something like that, if that's what they meant, because again, not much clarity. They need to update their Git book. They need to get that going, make it clear, black and white, no ambiguity, no guesswork whatsoever. Fix it up. 9 out of 10 because of that. And ultimately, it's a small amount, so not too much to worry about. Relationships, guys, stacked. They got everything. They got like a lot. Again, almost too good to be true. Almost, I'm not gonna say it's not true, but it's like there's so many companies, Dell, and Lenovo, and all the Binance, and there's so much at universities everywhere. There's too much happening. There's a lot happening. 10 out of 10. It looks great. It looks great. Now exchanges a little bit different. There's not much exposure on the DEX side of things, and I'm going to give you a summary on all of my extra findings in a second. But they're listed on KuCoin, Uniswap. I feel like they're not on Uniswap anymore. There's no liquidity on Uniswap. There were on Uniswap. I feel like since they went on mainnet, they no longer on Uniswap. That's the reality, because I feel like the token in the past was on Binance. So there's a little bit of ambiguity in that, because CoinGecko still lists it on Uniswap, but there's no liquidity there. So maybe this needs to be removed, the Uniswap thing. But you can get it on MEXC, BingX, BitGet, Gate, and many others. And SushiSwap is another one that is a little bit iffy, because CoinGecko does say there's liquidity on there, but what kind of, are we still talking about old tokens, perhaps pre mainnet? I'm not sure, guys. Just be careful out there. I don't think that the tokens are available on a DEX at the current moment, unfortunately. So again, there's a bit of a summary here. Just keep in mind that the supply, it's only 10, almost 11% of the circulating supply is released. Only 11% of the total supply, or the max supply, is released. There's still risk of dilution here. Okay, so we got to be really clear. Like the market, the project is fresh. There's not a lot of tokens in distribution, only 11%. So there's a lot basically being deployed through rewards, which is a good thing, because they're going to be given to a vast amount of individuals that are technically providing services to the network. And if the network is actually getting those services and there's action, it's okay if they get rewarded, because literally there's utility, there's things happening, and we want that. So the fact that they're getting rewarded is not a negative thing. It's a positive thing, because ultimately OORT is being used, and that's what we want, is utility. But it's the rest of them, the token allocation for the team and so on and so forth. We're kind of worried about dilution there. So again, this is why it's super important that when you look at the diluted, the fully diluted market cap versus the current market cap, there's a lot of tokens that still need to enter the market. So we're going to be a little bit fearful here without a proper emissions and unlock schedule. Okay, that's the problem here. But again, it's only 10% here and there, 15, 25%. It's not much, but still something to worry about. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. Let's go back to my verdict. Let's go see what's going on here with my verdict. It's an AI storage, decentralized storage, L1. very unclear about the unlocks. I mentioned that already. Edge devices, 25% of the mining rewards will be released immediately every hour, and the rest 75% linearly over 270 days. Okay, that's the way we're going to get rewarded for those Edge node holders and individuals that are contributing. Little DEX exposure, which I just mentioned. A team should be more active on the Discord, which is something else I mentioned. I felt that it was underrepresented, and it's right now, especially at this current moment, where we could start seeing the altcoins and the crypto market totally reverse back and start getting some more liquidity into the total market cap. This is where we should start deploying marketing dollars, and marketing dollars also includes communications. They need somebody on that Discord 24 hours a day, have a team that kind of, because of course the markets are 24 hours and the globe is 24 hours, and unfortunately that's the case, but this is the reality. You got to get people active on that Discord. So my overall verdict as far as target, guys, please take this with a grain of salt. The way I look at this is OORT is trying to compete for market cap. It is a smaller market cap, okay? It's a small project. And the reality is, just a reminder, what's the market cap here? We're talking about a $17, $18 million market cap. It is a baby, right? It's very, very small, which means that we're going to be looking for the guidance of larger projects like Arweave, right, to see where we can eventually go, right? I could have chosen a bigger market cap, but let's be as modest as possible here, right? If OORT catches up to Arweave, or if OORT catches up to other deep in projects with AI, and there are many. The reason why I chose Arweave is because it's AI, and it has AI, and it has the decentralized storage. OORT at this current moment doesn't have the compute yet, so this is why I'm like, okay, let's find a project that is quite modest. And even with that modesty, OORT catching up to Arweave, it's still a 77x, which is still massive, right? So let's be even more modest, guys. A price target of $5, we've done very, very well. I'm not saying that it's going to get there, but if it's going to catch up in the vicinity of Arweave and other projects of that status, guys, there's a lot of room for growth here. And given all the bullishness that I've explained to you here today, there's a great possibility that it does happen. Now, again, nothing is guaranteed. There's no certainties here, but I'm going to give this project 9 out of 10 because it does check a lot of boxes. Obviously, there's a little few areas of improvement that I made very clear, but there's a lot of good bullishness here, almost too good to be true bullishness, that I have no choice but to say 9 out of 10. So it's doing pretty good. All right, guys, I know you're here to also talk about charts. So let's see what's going on with the price action. The price action at the current moment is not looking the greatest. I'll be honest, guys, we're making lower lows and lower highs as we speak, and we see some of the market transitioning from bearish to bullish. So what that means is that transitionary phases, are going to be coming into play, and OORT right now is not really in that major transitionary phase where we're seeing structure suggesting a pivot. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. What I can see is consistent lower lows and lower highs, consistent volume when you see the price fall. Unfortunately, this chart does not match the actual fundamentals. Okay, so the fundamentals look really good. Again, I gave it 9 out of 10. The price actions right now, this price action looks like trash. And the reason being is because the downtrend is still clearly there, and it's clearly supported by sell pressure based on the volume, right? So one of my major rules is price action is king. Guys, there's no indication to me right now, just looking at price action, that we are looking for a change of character. We have no indication that we are slowly pivoting from bearish to bullish. I do not see that here at the current moment. So what we have to be very aware is that once we've seen the change of character, where we start seeing, instead of consistent lower lows, let's lower lows and lower lows and lower highs, we start to see, maybe a higher low and a higher high and a higher low and a higher high. And then we start to see pivot point structures, inverse head and shoulders, cup and handles, Adam and Eve patterns, and more importantly, oversold conditions with class A bullish divergences, or any bullish divergence for that matter. Obviously, class A is going to give us some more strength to suggest a nice follow through, but ultimately where we are right now, I don't feel very confident that we are not going to potentially come down even for a double bottom, or even maybe for another slightly lower low to sweep the lows and get people wrecked that are putting tight stop losses on this bottom. right? That's the reality. Okay, so let's take a look at this from an oscillator momentum perspective, and then we'll kind of like summarize how could we get involved here. The reality is we're seeing that these expansions, if you look at this expansion right here, look at this price right here, and look at this expansion, nice and deep, nice and mature to the downside, very clear. Then we look at the rest of this, right? And then we look at this expansion. It is actually smaller and not as powerful as this one, while the price keeps on falling, which this suggests that we are slowly showing some weakness in the bearish push to the downside. We can even go down for another push and still make a higher low and still maintain this upwards trajectory with regards to expansion, right? This is what we want to see, is this class A bullish divergence. As we see the price fall, you know, we can do another one and get these triple drive of bullish divergence, right? This is what we're trying to look for. So this is something that ultimately is looking pretty good with regards to the expansion phase. We are definitely oversold with regards to momentum. Let me just get rid of this for a second so I can prioritize what we're looking at. And we'll bring this down so we can see it a little bit better. You know, and you can see that ultimately this right here, the purple line has been oversold for a good while. We've touched oversold conditions 3 times in the last little bit, and we haven't gotten overbought in a good while. So we are due. The problem is that that's not enough to get bullish. Unfortunately, to say we are due probability wise, because we've been down here for a while, we are due. Yes, it's a good sign to say yes, we are due, but when is that going to happen? Who's to say that we can't stay there a little bit more? Who's to say that we can't get rejected and come down here again and go up? And who knows, right? This is the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can tell you for any degree of certainty, other than to say is that probability is eventually we get out of here. And because we've been here for a good while, eventually is going to come sooner than later, given the fact that we've matured our bias all the way down here for so long, to the point that we're due for a reversal. Expansions, there's no bullish divergence right here. If there's any, there's maybe here a slightly higher low, higher high. This higher low is good. There's a lower low on the price action, maybe a bit of class A bullish divergence, just a little bit. Not even, guys, not even. Look, this is upward sloping. Okay, fine, upward sloping there, and the price is downward sloping, so a bit of class A. It's not bad, but you can see it's not like it's so convincing. However, is it a good time to DCA? 100%. 100%, this is a good time to buy a small bag, even if it's 10%. If you have, let's say, $100 to deploy that you want to allocate to OORT, put in 10%. Put in $10. If it comes down more, put another $10. As soon as we start building a structure that we start to get confident in, then you start getting into bigger position sizes. Okay, that's when you start deploying more, 30%, 40%. You start building and building and building. Because as of now, it could be possible that we get a quick recovery. We see a quick green candle straight up, and then, you know, of course, you're going to FOMO. You're going to feel like, dang, why didn't I get some exposure? So it's about maybe satisfying the FOMO. Right, you satisfy the FOMO by getting in with a bit of skin in the game, getting some of that exposure, 10% of the bag, bit by bit, until we get structure. Again, structure, what I'm relating to is an inverse head and shoulders, a cup and handle, Adam and Eve pattern, something like that. At this current moment, we're not getting any of that, not even on the 4 hour, nowhere, nothing. Grind, slow grind, coming to a halt, almost looking like it wants to create a floor price for us. And in all honesty, I prefer a floor price than a huge reaction with a green lightsaber. I don't want a green pump. I'd rather have a nice slow grind for a little while, rise up slowly, give us a nice cup and handle, give us a structure where we get the opportunity to deploy capital in our favor without taking too much risk. That's basically what we want. If we want healthy price action, we don't want a green candle like that. Only the only people that want that are the people that take in risk right here at this moment, right? Of course, but the majority of individuals that are trading in a very professional way are not getting all in at the current moment. They're waiting for confirmations. They're waiting for structure so that they can, come up with a plan for risk management. Risk management right here is very, very dangerous, guys. We can sweep lows. We can keep on coming down, unfortunately. So let's keep that real. Now let's take a look at the trend oscillator. The trend oscillator is looking a little bit better in the sense that as we've been coming down, clearly we see these expansions slowly trending to the upside, and we can see that there's multiple drives of class A bullish divergence based on the expansions, and even more so what I appreciate is the EMAs. the moving averages, these right here, look how we're making higher highs. Now we're in a downturn. I know it's a bit scary, but what about if we go up for another high and get into the bullish control zone, which is the top half of the oscillator above the zero mark? Once we get to this level, this is where we start to get the majority of the moves. Just imagine this EMA right here, what happened, and all we did was peak into the bullish control zone. We got a nice expansion upwards right here that gave us this nice little pop. Imagine if we get these EMAs, you know, equal to the bearishness, like how we are down here, but let's get it all the way up here. We start going upwards, guys. We're going to see massive expansions to the upside, huge reversals. So what I'm waiting for is for OORT to give me that transitionary signal. I want to see price structure that suggests pivot point, and that will give me that indication that we are ready to start moving to the upside. We're still early here, guys. I think it's watch list material, no doubt. Put it on your watch list. Even as we speak, it's up 11%, which is great. But speaking of price structure, there's nothing to FOMO in it right now. There's a lot of opportunity. We can come right back to the bottom of the range and still be able to deploy capital at 7.6 cents and maybe even lower for a sweep of the lows. So just slow and steady, buy some right now. Just remember, the market cap is small, so volatility is going to be real. I know, look what this candle did, 12% to the upside with a small little candle like that. Imagine a lightsaber that starts flying, right? So we want to slowly deploy capital when appropriate, where the risk management can be applied. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you appreciate what I offer you here today with this deep dive, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. If you want to vote on the next deep dive or even propose a project for the next deep dive, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free, and on the Discord you can join the channel where we make those requests and we do those votes, so that way you guys can get involved in the next deep dive. Guys, I'm going to be live 8 p.m. EST every night talking about crypto news and price action. It is a great time and place to make any of those requests on any projects that you may have. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.